Hi everyone, Curtis Christian are here for the Florida Soccer Report on Beyond the 90, and the Rowdies complete the typical routine season sweep of Indy 11. The last time Indy 11 beat the Rowdies, I think, was when they were both in NASL in 2016. And as you all know, Rowdies went from NASL to USL after the 2016 season. Indy 11 made the same move after the 2017 season. Indy were very good in 2016, right? Got to the final against the Cosmos in NASL. And since then, Tampa Bay has had their number. In spite of the fact that Indy has had some very, very good teams in that period of time, they do not have any results against Tampa Bay, I believe, since joining USL. So today, once again, a match where Indy 11 outshot the Rowdies. They didn't have as much of the ball, but that was also because the Rowdies set up a little differently with an extra man in midfield. So the Rowdies playing now back to kind of the 3-5-2 that we saw under Neil Collins and we saw under Robbie Nielsen. Interesting setup today. When you have Crisostomo and Hilton fit and in midfield, you see more of the ball. And then Van Kazeel, I think, really contributed. Also, he actually had a really good game today, and he's a player that's showing that he can be very versatile with his experience and do a lot for the Rowdies. Rubens Pacius gets to start, and I know we've talked about this a lot. Pacius sometimes is better coming off the bench. Arteaga is often better coming off the bench. We're seeing that this season. This isn't the same Arteaga of last season when he was combining with Cal Jennings, or the Arteaga from a couple of seasons ago in Phoenix. So it's a tough decision for the coaching staff, right? What do you do if you're Dominic Casciato? Do you start? And Leo Fernandez is hurt, right? So you're going to have to start someone up there. And so today it was Pacius, and he gets a goal from off the bat. And really good performance from him. Luis Alvarez was good this entire match and had just, I think, a goal of the week candidate with that goal, which goes down as the winner. Nick Moon played well as a right wing back tonight. Now, I don't know what the deal with Pacific Nyanga is. We remember his injury. It looked like it would be not a great injury, but now it's been like 3 months. So I don't know what his status is. Bodily, not the sort of impact we're used to seeing from that side of the pitch. I really wonder about Ali Bassett, because I still think he has a lot more to offer, and he hasn't fit into a role this season. He's been played in all sorts of different positions. You could even play him up top. And if you play in a 3-4-3, which is what Robbie Nielsen opened the season with in that match in Las Vegas, remember? Actually, the first two matches, Vegas and then at Tulsa, right? Those first two matches for the Rowdies. You could play Bassett on the left, Pacius on the right, Arteaga centrally, or some other combination of those players. But today we saw Alsakar, the new signing, who's a veteran in this league, come on and play a handful of minutes, actually more than a handful of minutes, played about 20 or 25 minutes. It wasn't bad. And Joey Skinner, second successive week with a goal coming off the bench, coming from that left, or actually in this case it was a right wing back position, and looked really comfortable. And now they're finding a role for him. He's a guy I thought earlier in the season when the Rowdies were starting should start. So really good result. I think the Rowdies are going good. Now have only one more match on this road trip, which is a match at North Carolina FC, a team they played away from home twice last season because of the hurricane, right? They played a home game in Raleigh, in Cary. So another trip to Cary. That will be a tough match. Tonight they were poor against Lou City, but that's it. Tough place to go. Pittsburgh wins against Rhode Island. So right now you've got a situation where if you missed the Kingfisher the other day, Miami FC has conceded 4 second half stoppage time goals in their last 7 USL Championship matches, including obviously the winning goal to Lewis Hilton for Tampa Bay, the Lexington goal, and then that Pittsburgh goal right at the death, which cost Miami FC 2 points. So I think Miami is in a free fall. Okay, they can play well for 90 minutes. They can be ahead after 90 minutes. It doesn't matter. There's something mental. I think they fall out of the top 8. I think Indy is struggling. Birmingham, they've made some moves. They made another move this past week. Mark Briggs is the top manager, so let's see how that shakes out. Hartford is playing better, but Tampa Bay got that result in Hartford a couple of weeks ago when they were thoroughly outplayed. So Tampa Bay is showing of late that they can get results when they don't play well. So I think the Rowdies are going to be in the top 8. I mean, the question is who misses? Rhode Island at this rate is not going to make it as much as they've been hyped and as well as they did last season. Miami's not going to make it because they've left so many points on the table. Birmingham, Hartford. Maybe those are your 4 teams that are out in the East. Or Indy. Some combination of maybe Hartford makes it and Indy doesn't. But I think Tampa Bay is going to be in that top 8. I think that they're going good. And there's not a whole lot to critique from tonight. It was what we would call a business-like performance. Now, the one thing I will say is that if there were 2 players who weren't so good for the Rowdies tonight, it was Lawrence White and Aaron Guillen, who are 2 players earlier in the season when the Rowdies were really struggling that were playing terribly. So that is one thing maybe to be a little bit concerned about, but otherwise I thought 9 really good performances. And I think the very clear thing that we're seeing now, or 8 great performances. Bondre wasn't great, but they didn't break, they didn't concede. But I do think when you look at Castellanos playing really well today, asserting himself. I talked about Van Kaziel. I talked about Moon. Things are really coming together for the Rowdies.